This will be showing up on the screen. Thank you guys, everybody, for joining us today, watching the bash together. These last couple of rounds, shoutcasting being brought to you by one wonderful Adam Takata and one not quite as wonderful Nicholas Pedrasky. And we're excited to be shoutcasting for you this afternoon.
There's also Neo too. Paul's here. He's just hiding in the background.
And we actually did skitter off. He's gone, but he was here. He was here. He's also wonderful. All right. Everything up on the screen.
Yep, it looks good. So we see Heaton here playing Dreaming Fox. So Sapphire Diamond. We see double Sapphire Shards. Well, Runebind, Clash of Steel, Arcane Focus, and Dark Heart of Nulzahn. Over for Zbounder, we see triple Sapphire Shard, Tribunal Magistrate, a Empress of Ice, Consult the Talon, and I can't tell that third card or the fourth card from the left.
The Windswim.
Windswim, thank you.
That's an interesting card to be in the main deck, but it is mobilize, interrupt target card with cost 4 or less, and it's fairly capable. I think the big thing there is the mobilize. I really like these. I really like these hands. So this is the first time we get to see Dreaming Fox in its pure form today. I think it's the first time we see Dreaming Fox at all.
You're right. Yep. Absolutely.
And this is just Diamond Sapphire Super Control. This deck was around while Lasgar's Vengeance was still around, and it's around nowadays, and it doesn't care about its opening hand as long as it's got a Sapphire Shard and an Arcane Focus, and it's basically going to do whatever it wants from this point on out. On the top, we have the combo deck, the Mono Sapphire combo deck, which has every chance of just blowing a game up on turn 3 or 4. So we'll see what happens. I like both of these opening hands. I think they're both keepable. Little bit sad to not see a Copycat in Zbounder's hand to protect him against some of the nonsense that could be in a Sapphire Wild hand, or Sapphire Diamond hand.
Heaton with the Shard into Arcane Focus finds an Into the Unknown. We go over to Zbounder, finds a second Tribunal Magistrate, so he'll play out a Shard. That'll end his turn.
Yeah, Into the Unknown is actually fairly brutal here. Another Runebind coming off the top. Yeah, all of these cards are actually just really exactly what the Diamond Sapphire player wants in this matchup. Like, even ideally, Heaton finds a resource here. Turn 3, Into the Unknowns, whatever Zbounder plays, and then turn 4 drops Dark Heart of Nulzahn. I'm not actually sure they can lose the game if they do that.
Silver Talon for Heaton. He'll play a resource, passes to Zbounder. Finds a Warpsteel Shardsworn. Play that out.
See, that is probably the best line for Zbounder here. Had it been the Tribunal Magistrate, I'm almost positive we'd have seen it Into the Unknown, and it quickly would have become not a threat. No resource for Heaton, though, who's just going to chill out with a couple of birds, Dark Heart in hand. Silver Talon Adjudicator, just probably some of the prettiest art in the entire game.
We'll see what Zbounder wants to do here.
You know, with your opponent on 3 resources and you having troops on board and you have Windswim in hand, maybe you just do nothing.
Just swing and hold back, I guess. Here, that's what he's going to do as we go to Heaton. Does find that 4th resource. Definitely needed that.
Yeah, but at this point, it's not even that great for him. Silver Talon won't draw him cards. Clash of Steel is pretty bunk on this board. You don't want to Into the Unknown 2-drops that are, you know, they will almost certainly become something better than they are. So yeah, this is probably just a pass for Heaton, who needs more resources. Dark Heart of Nulzahn, you can't play Dark Heart here. That's just begging for it to be interrupted or removed forever.
Zbounder will play his 5th Sapphire Shard.
Now he's going to be looking for a Commander Prompt, some Copycats, just more resources, maybe even another counter. We're actually going to see the Tribunal Magistrate come down. So this looks unprotected, but of course the Windswim does allow you to mobilize something, and it's very sneaky. Not a whole lot of people have seen Windswim played, so you're going to see the Into the Unknown attempt to be played. The Tribunal Magistrate will exhaust itself in response to allow the Windswim to be played to counter the Into the Unknown. I'm guessing. He might allow the Magistrate to be transformed here.
Nope, Windswim.
Yeah.
Runebind.
So Runebind will hit Windswim. Runebind, in particular, fairly good against counters of any sort. And we see the Tribunal Magistrates turn into a Tireless Researcher and a Ripple of Janango.
Interesting. With that ripple there.
Yeah. I believe that's the name of that card. Janango. Yeah. So yeah, Windswim is going to find a resource, and it's just going to fall off the stack as I try to find the name of a card that changed places in the hand as I tried to find the name of it.
6 resource here for Zbounder, that researcher coming online.
Consult the Talon. Being met by Runebind, I'm sure.
Indeed. So Runebind targeting that Consult the Talon. It'll turn into a Mysterious Rune until Zbounder can find a resource off the top.
So there's a reasonable chance that we see Clash of Steel here. No, we're going to see Dark Card. Okay.
No resources for Heaton remaining. Back to Zbounder. Has to sacrifice a non-socketed card.
So either the Researcher or the Rune. He is going to get to draw an extra card off of the Researcher readying. And now the Consult the Talon is going to go down. And Zbounder needs to find a way to deal with the Dark Card. He needed to find... I mean, he just drew 5 cards in one turn and needed to find anything that wasn't those 5 cards. Finds an Arcane Focus, which could help.
So definitely can focus here. Consult the Talon also. So we see Arcane Focus. Those troops now getting +1/+1. Looks like, I know that's a visual bug. Empress of Ice just hanging out on top over there. Draws it. Zbounder here in an interesting situation.
Could bluff and swing. No resources available for Heaton here. Looks like he's not. Yeah, I mean, he's just going to try to push damage. Oh, no.
Drawing a bunch of cards. Finds a copycat, though, among the cards drawn.
Sadly, the copycat's really not what he needs here either, because if he copycats the Empress, he will have to sacrifice one of them and then the other. If he copycats the Dark Heart, it doesn't do him a whole lot of good without the +2 defense. Yeah. This is rough.
And Heaton with that Clash of Steel can really kind of level things off a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that here pretty soon. Now we can see Silvertown Adjudicator. That's arguably also fine. Heaton playing a control deck that probably has 24 or more resources in it, stuck on 4 a little bit. I would be a little salty. And you have to be careful with trying to guidance for a resource just to try to keep yourself on parity too, because what can happen is you hit the slow shards and you're just like, oh, okay, well, now I'm down a resource for the turn.
Empress going to go ahead and activate with the Sapphire Threshold gain, locking it down. Uzu, Champion Power, also going to go for that Sapphire Threshold, locking the Silver Talon Adjudicator down.
Now this will give the assault triggers to the Ripple of Janango, which by a turn, I believe. This actually might be the way to go for lethal here. So you swing for 4 this turn. Next turn, your opponent probably replays one of these cards. Then because you're going to play Ripple, and you're going to knock those back to their hand. Then next turn, after, let's say they replay Dark Heart, you say, oh, no, he's going to go for the Consult the Talon. He's really looking for an answer. Really, really looking for an answer. I don't blame him. I think he might have wanted to be aggressive here, but even being aggressive is difficult with the opponent on 26 health. There's a lot of factors to look at in these matches. It's worth noting that the replay feature does simulate player delay to some extent, but we are not seeing the same length of time between these players' plays that actually existed. We are seeing something closer to a 1/5 proportion or a 1/4 proportion.
One thing of note, yeah, he can't cast Clash because he's missing that double diamond threshold, which is probably really great here for Zbounder. We see Arcane Focus, Guidance, going to go ahead and find. Now he does have that diamond threshold. And we're probably going to see Clash here.
Well, no, I mean, Clash would be rough against the Weave, so...
That's true, too.
Yeah, he's probably happy to just leave the resources up for the turn. I really think we want to see Ripple. I know that sounds like really weird, but so that's not a card that sees play in Constructed a whole lot. So let's just pull that back up for a second. The Ripple of Janago is a Chaos Touch troop that puts each opposing non-Chaos Touch troop with cost green or less into its controller's hand. And green starts at 1, and every time a troop you control attacks, that number increases by 1. It's one of the instances of Assault where it doesn't reduce the cost of the card, which is what most Assault did. It's also a 5/6, which is pretty sick. So any attacks being made here, like if the whole board attacked, that would mean that it was 4 or less that went back to hand, and that would include the dark card here, which would at least make your opponent replay the resources.
We see Consult the Talent, so just drawing cards, drawing cards, drawing cards.
Yeah, I think that's his 4th consult. I think he has consulted the birds as much as he can, and they have given full maximum 12 card. Yes, hoot hoot. Here is 12 cards. Hoot. Into the Unknown is attempted to be played, and that is met with Weave into Nothing, which I find interesting. More cards drawn into hand here. I don't even think we're seeing the other cards that could have potentially been Into the Unknown earlier. Let's see another Warp Steel come down, which bury an Ice off of the top of Heaton stack. Whether that's good or bad, we'll find out.
Skittering Cultivator for Zbounder. Again, Dark Card forcing players to sacrifice a non-socketed card at the start of their turn. We see Heaton with that Sapphire Ice. Going to go ahead and play that out in Fate Weave. And here comes the Clash.
Yeah, see, and with the... I don't know what was being targeted by the Into the Unknown, but this Clash of Steel was a much larger threat. You can't keep the Empress, you can't keep the Skittering Cultivator, you're forced to sacrifice them. So you've got to keep a 1/1. So I think this game has just turned on its tail, and Heaton has gained control, so to speak. See an Arcane Focus. The Empress is going to come down probably with the other Empress.
Here comes finally a swing, so that Ripple will get a +1 modifier to it.
It's all the 2 and lower cost things now. Yeah, the Empress is a weird play if we don't see the follow-up Empress.
Throwback.
You see a card. Well, actually, Throwback's kind of a big game. If your opponent is just looking to hold on to 1 dark card. You see Transmogrifade. Now, if you're sitting in Heaton's position, you're probably Transmogrifating the Empress so that you're dark card already. I wonder if that's maybe aggressive. Maybe he's Transmogrifating the Warp Steel to try to get rid of a socketed troop. No, it is actually the Empress. This is purely so the Dark Heart can ready.
Silver Talent going to come down. Just draw cards because Heaton does have 1 more health than Zbounder.
That might also be why the Transmogrifade was played. Looking to draw cards with the bird. That makes sense.
Throwback at the end of Heaton's turn.
You know, that's a card from a set so far in the past that I would say it's a throwback.
Dark card going back into Heaton's hand. Go back over to Zbounder. Find a Wind's Whim.
Wind's Whim's pretty strong here. Also, a lot of resources available for Acolyte of Shoku to churn into Dreadlings.
Absolutely. Empress of Ice. We're going to go and see an activation and lock down that bird. Dreadlings are being generated to help fuel the Ripple.
little bit of a tell here that not the last three resources being used. Could be a bluff, could not be a bluff, but the Runebind isn't Heaton's hand, so he's not afraid of one counter. He's not afraid of like one threat, right? And even with three troops smacking him in the face on turn like 15, he goes down to 21 health. Still above 20. Transmography is going to come out, probably again targeting the other Empress of Ice.
And does activate Wind's Whim to counter the Transmography.
So that's bold. Really, really intent on keeping the Empresses, I suppose.
All right, so a Diamond Ice Fate Weave champion power is also available for Heaton. We see a Dark Heart come down. That is a 3/6 thanks to that throwback.
Guess he's replaying this one to hide the information about the second one, which is, he's not worried about winning through damage. Acolyte of Shoku generates its resource, but then is promptly sacrificed to the dark. Yeah, and I think this is probably swing into attempt to play Ripple, which is Runebound.
So here comes Ripple. Heaton has the option to respond with, or in kind, with that Runebind. Decides not to, so those cards will go back in the hand.
I guess there's a fair decision to that. If he did respond with the Runebind, the Ripple would lose the assault triggers that it had gained, and it would never flip back either Dark Heart or the Silver Talon. But I guess getting the Silver Talon back in your hand is worth taking 3 damage because it's going to gain you 5 health the next time you play it anyway.
So
double Dark Heart.
Oof.
We're a doctor now. Yeah, this is going to force the Empress and the Ripple to sacrifice themselves. I'm just really not sure what Zbounder does to get back into this game at this point. Yeah, he's going to draw another resource and concede. It would require a really impressive card in your deck to have been randomly generated by Into the Unknown for anything to really happen there. Maybe it was worth playing out a turn or two to see, but it was a brutal position to be in.
All right, so we're going to be going into game number 2 for that matchup. Again, we are casting round 6 matches. Round 7 is underway. Looks like there is 2 matches left before the top 8 are decided. So good luck to those players. Hoping their tiebreakers are going to be enough.
Yeah, already somebody in chat was talking about tiebreakers having a little bit of effect on the top 8 already, which seems to be the case recently.
All right, so let's take a look. Zbounder here looking to force a game number 3. Has a Sapphire Eye, Sapphire Shard, Wind's Whim, Consult the Talon, Tribunal Magistrate, and double Copycat. Over for Heaton, we see triple Eldorathian Glory, Sapphire Shard, Wakuna Coins, a Diamond Ice, and a Guidance.
Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the keep. I think Zbounder keeps his hand no matter what. I wouldn't be surprised to see the keep from Heaton, but I also think that this is probably a toss. If you get to 5, you're safe, sure. But on the play, I think the Mono Sapphire deck probably has the ability to roll you sooner than that. We're actually gonna see the mulligan you guys will see in a second from Zbounder.
Okay.
Keeps a brand new hand with a Skittering Cultivator and Empress Spice. It's slightly more aggressive.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that mulligan and that keep there. We see the ice going to go to being played for a Fate Weave and a Sapphire Threshold. And then a Dark Heart of Nolzon for Heaton off the top.
He's probably just going to Fate Weave some resources up here.
Tribunal Magistrate off the top for Zbounder. Sapphire Shard comes down. Skittering Cultivator. Going to be on the field for a little bit here. As we go over to Heaton. Go ahead.
So another reason, a Sapphire draw here for Zbounder means we could potentially see on turn 4 multiple Magistrate with Skittering Cultivators readying that are creating like massive Dreadlings. There's not a whole lot in Heaton's hand that's stopping that from being a thing here. That being said, we are going to be playing a slow resource this turn, so Zbounder isn't going to be putting down a Tribunal Magistrate this turn. But potentially we are going to see, like I said, it has to be a Sapphire resource draw here, but Magistrate into Uzu Power into Copycat creates 2 Magistrates. The Dreadlings then have +9, +12 each.
No resource, but another Tribunal Magistrate, so still going to be a decent amount of damage here, 7 inbound. That's going to take Heaton down to 17.
Yeah, Wakuna Coins is going to be discarded here. So looking for a proper resource on Heaton's side of the board. Doesn't find one, so he's not going to be able to drop the Dark Heart here. But he's got Runebind and Verdict up.
Arcane Focus, not a resource, unfortunately, for Zbounder.
He could gamble on the Focus for a resource, though. It looks like that's going to be the case.
No, it's a slow resource.
Ooh, brutal.
He will be able to Fate Weave.
And, I mean, he gains a charge, so he's able to go to 5 Sapphire here to play the Copycat if he wants to.
Doesn't know that Heaton has an answer, but Heaton leaving 3 resources up. Kind of a little bit of a tell here. Probably doesn't want to risk it. Swings in for 7. Runebind. Looks like targeting that Tribunal Magistrate, so 3 damage instead of 7. Heaton will go to 16.
Now the Copycat can't even hit the Magistrate. Or at least that Magistrate. And after that Fate Weave, so this is kind of like the really important part of what just happened. There's no way there's a resource on Zbounder's deck. He needs anything that's not a resource right now. So that Mysterious Rune won't flip back, so he's going to have to sacrifice that instead of the Cultivator. Oh.
Interesting.
Oh? Well, I wanted to think that the Commander Prompt might be enough to make big game happen, but there's only one Copycat in hand.
Yeah, Zbounder's in a bad spot here. Darkheart's going to start eating away at his non-socketed troops. Anything he plays, we have Eldorathian's Glory ×3 in Heaton's hand.
Well, Glory doesn't hit like anything in this matchup. It's a very weird, like it hits the shards, the Warp Steels. So that's something I wanted to point out about the Glory, the triple Glory opening hand. It doesn't hit Magistrate. It doesn't hit Prompt. It doesn't hit Empress. So it's only hitting the Warp Steels. Just seems like an odd include.
Empress with an activation. Going to go ahead and lock down that Darkheart. Swing for 2. Heaton going to take that to the chin, go to 14.
14 is low enough you could see it do something here, but there's no more Dreadlings being generated.
Just going to hold that Verdict and Runebind. Forced to sacrifice, so Empress will go into the Crypt. See a Warpsteel Shardsworn. Those can be played out, but again, a target for the Glory.
Yeah, the only target for the Glory. So I guess they are pretty bad here. They do survive the Darkheart, which I guess is relevant. Yeah, this is rough for Zbounder. He needs to be able to play multiple things to be able to restabilize and get back into this game, and he's just not going to be able to replay. He's not going to be able to play multiple things for a while here. It's fairly brutal.
Resource for Heaton, he'll play that out. He does have Champion Power available as well.
We almost certainly see the Glory drop here. It just does, like I said, it just doesn't have any other targets. It might as well come down as a 5/5. But, I mean, now it's going to get sacrificed off by the Darkheart. It's a little bit of non-bow synergy. Not really non-bow, but...
Well, it forces him to get rid of the rune, too. because the other
Yeah.
troops are gone. So,
Well, he was going to have to anyway. He can't choose to sacrifice socketed troops.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, genuinely, I just don't think Heaton can mess up at this point. Like, yeah, like it's really upsetting to say that because like you want both players to be able to play a game, but I don't think Zbounder has a game to play here. They are stuck behind. Like, even if I didn't know Heaton's hand, if I was just assuming he had 4 cards, Zbounder needs to be able to play 3 things, I want to say, before he's able to stabilize, even with his opponent on 14. And he can hardly play 2 right now. A resource lets him play Magistrate Copycat, which I think is probably his best out. But we know that Runebind prevents that if we stop pretending that we don't know what the hand is.
So resource does come down, so we could see the double Tribunal Magistrate into a Copycat to make the trifecta.
Yeah, and I think we will see that. It's I don't know. All right, well, I suppose Zbounder is waiting for something else. What he needed to do is get the magistrates down and maybe hit a massive spider chain or a spider chain at all. Into the Unknown is picked up by Heaton, protecting him from the whirligig of random cards that could have stopped him. So we see a Sapphire Shard. So was the play going to be prompt Magistrate Copycat? Nope.
Heaton just content to keep swinging in with that Dark Card on Ozan, hold up his Runebind, his Verdict, his Into the Unknown. He has Psychic Ascension in hand, which I'm sure he could play here shortly. Swing for 4. Zbounder down to 7. Just in a really bad spot here. Needs to find some kind of answer. Consult the Talent, I guess, is something to give him a little more card draw, but he's just
he
not
can theoretically play Magistrate Copycat Consult, but he'll still be hit by Runebind at some point during that. So, or we might even see like Into the Unknown on the first Tribunal Magistrate as the second Magistrate tries to come into play.
Mm-hmm. And Into the Unknown does hit that Tribunal Magistrate. Turns it into a Flashpaw Elder.
That's a great card 2 turns ago. Actually, I mean, it's not even a great card 2 turns ago, but it's a nice card. Like, good hit.
Fortunately, not going to save him.
I feel a little bit bad that people are going to be able to hear the sound effect because this Copycat has to get played here, yeah. This is the one with like the really weird pixely, like bloop, bloop, bloop noise. Really big fan. So potentially turns this into the Dark Heart. I don't think that's the correct line, but he could do that just to leave himself a 4/4 blocker. I mean, that just chumps for a turn, the same as any other card at this point, though. Because he doesn't have the diamond to get the +2 defense.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe he was waiting to have the Uzu power to gain a diamond.
Clash of Steel off the top for Heaton. No play. Goes over to Zbounder. Sacrifices the Tribunal Magistrate. Finds a Commander prompt. Consult the Talon. We see Verdict, though, going to interrupt. So no card draw for Zbounder. And stuck at 2 resources. No way to protect his health total here with that Dark Heart now in a exhausted position. Does find a Spider off the top, so Zbounder does have a blocker. And here comes that Glory. Going to wipe away the Spider.
He doesn't even really need to do that. Like, it's probably the right play. He's probably also going to Runebind the Dark Card. No? Okay. I would have expected him to Runebind the Copycat Dark Card just to force it to sacrifice itself, but it is what it is. We've been watching the slow and painful bleed out of an Uzu player who, just wanted cards they weren't running today.
Back over to Heaton.
I believe both of these players are still going to end after, like, regardless of the outcome of this match, end top 15s or top 16s, so that's okay for them. Flashpot Elder gets to kind of do something here.
Nope, because Weave into Nothing is going to say no thank you. Heaton will be able to Fate Weave off that. 4 damage, inbound, Rune Bind. Going to target that Dark Heart, so it'll turn into a Mysterious Rune and then back into a Copycat as Revert, and that's going to do it.
Yeah. Well, that brings the match over to Heaton, who is currently at the top of the bracket, or was when we started watching that match. Dang, though, that was quite the game.